Hey guys, I'm going out on metal detecting hunt. Not just any hunt. This is the kind of hunt that I've been wanting to do since I got into metal detecting. I'm going out to help a group of guys look for a specific location that a specific event has occurred on. I hope I didn't say too much. I'm not allowed to say too much about this. I'm sure that wasn't too much. But,
and there you go. That's how it started. A younger version of me 3 years ago, heading down to Lawrence County, South Carolina, to meet Tom Hawkins for the first time. In my mind, we were going to find some flap buttons, and we were going to find shoe buckles and parts to flintlock rifles. I thought it might take 2 or 3 months, and we're going to have all the evidence that we're going to need. I had no idea how long this was going to take. All I knew was I wasn't allowed to tell anybody what we were looking for. Until today. The property I'm sitting on right now was the first permission that the Backcountry Diggers got to start looking for Hollingsworth Mill.
The Hollingsworth Mill, which was a gathering place for Patriot forces in 1775. Now this mill has changed hands numerous times. It's gone by very many names, but it was apparently very well known during pre-Revolutionary War times.
In 2016, I got some time on my hands to where I could actually go and meet with the historians for the first time. And I talked with a lady, a historian. She told me about a gristmill site out in the woods where 3,000 to 4,000 troops had gathered in an attempt to go round up some Tory forces off of the cane break up the Reedy River here. Well, we came into the area searching for this mill back in 2016, and we walked all over the place and we couldn't find it.
When we first started hunting this property, we had no idea where to start. We just kind of picked little patches, you know, we'd hunt here, we'd hunt over there. We moved around. It was such a large property. We just kind of started someplace each day that we got out, and we'd hit it, and we had varied success. Some days we would walk away with nothing. Other days, 1 or 2 guys would find something colonial, dating back to the time that we were looking for. So we have the size of the property that was causing an issue. Also, we were looking for Hollingsworth Mill that we believe 3,000 to 4,000 Patriots camped around. Hollingsworth Mill would be right down on the river, which is right down there. And so we could not find that mill site during that time. Plus, we realized that right along the river would overflow its banks, obviously on a very regular basis from all the evidence that we have seen, and just wash everything away. Visually, we could tell that. Plus, when we get down into the level that the river has washed away, the signals would suddenly stop. We would go from a lot of iron to a lot of nothing. That was frustrating. We knew that where these men would have camped out, all that evidence, or at least much of it, is now gone. It's like a mile, who knows how far, washed away for the last 200 years plus down the river.
As you see here today, all of this growed up was probably the reason why we never did find it. Not to mention, it rained a lot on a lot of our trips out here. The river was raging, and when this water is full, this thing is not even visible hardly to your eye. Just the undergrowth alone covers this thing by itself. So Hollingsworth Mill laid undiscovered, even though we were out here making great finds and trying to discover it for 3 years.
Also, one thing that caused part of our frustration was on Colonial Site Side A that I am sitting on now, our first permission, we had a moonshiner, and he lived here, and he was quite successful from what I understand. He used a pig farm to cover the smell of him brewing his moonshine. This is during Prohibition. Well, the law caught up to him. He was arrested. Still was destroyed. And I believe it was in the 70s, the sheriff came in and bulldozed everything down. All that ground has been disturbed. There's a huge section that is nothing but iron and old house blah, for lack of a better word. So all that ground has been moved and shifted, and that adds to our frustration. Not to mention, our window to get in here is right after deer season, which is at the beginning of each year in January, and that's about the best time to get in, because all this underbrush that you see, all this overgrowth, it is died off, and it's the best time to swing in here. And we hit it hot and heavy during those times until all this stuff started coming right back up again, and we can't swing in here anymore. So that causes an issue. It makes it very difficult to get in here. We're here at the Colonial site, and it's very pretty out here. But I want you to see something. See all that green? All that green. In a month or so, all that green is going to be 2 feet high, and then 3 feet and 4 feet. It's going to become very difficult to swing in, and so that's why we're trying to hit this now when we can, because what we ran into last year was a very difficult time right in here. We've hunted this location for 3 years, but in that 3 years we probably only got, you know, who knows how much time of actual good hunt. Yeah, I know. We're going through all the reasons why it became very difficult to hunt this location, to find the colonial stuff. Well, let's show you some of the stuff that we did find that was 1700s. You got a little flat button, a little cuff button there.
That's got like a little bit of gold gilt still.
I like that butt.
That is neat.
Some of the cool things he found was this little cuff button here.
I think that may be pewter. I'm not 100% sure of it.
It might be. I don't know. It might be. Can't find writing on it, so it's going to be possibly early 1800s. I just gotta say, it was like 41, 42, something I would not ordinarily dig unless I was digging for relics, which I am. And it was 1 inch down. It was right there. Look at that, guys. That's a flat button. It's not so flat anymore. Got me a flat button. I don't see any writing. I try to brush it off, but I may dip that in some hot peroxide, and some writing may come through there. But that's a good one. I like that. Best find for the day for me. Alright. I'm going to take my time up in here. Well, there goes the sun, starting to cool down again. Good deal. Wow.
That made my hunt right there, bud.
Boy, oh boy. Isn't that cool? what do they call this? The chap and something else. I forget what it is. But that is the inside of a colonial shoe buckle. Awesome. Very awesome. Tom.
I can't believe it, bud. I'm still in shock over it. I'm happy with that find.
I would be too. It's beautiful. Very cool.
That ain't the best part. One of these.
Really?
Awesome.
Whoop, whoop. Yeah, I just dropped the cool thing. Let me hand that back to you. All right.
Found plenty of them.
Gene made an amazing discovery.
It is.
He made an amazing
ready to
discovery. Check it out.
No, it's taking an intermission.
Look at that. Look at that. That is a King George II. Look at the detail on that. Look how green that is.
Call me to that ridge, man.
And we cleaned the back up. The back was really bad shape, and there's nothing there. It's really slick. So there's no telling what that date is.
Oh yeah.
But that is such a nice coin. That is what we're looking for in here. This will go a long way to help prove what we're trying to prove.
Oh heck yeah. I ain't never seen that great.
Can you believe that? That's the second one that came out of here. Yeah, Chester just found a Spencer's cartridge, the shell. That was pretty cool. I just found myself a flat button.
Nice.
Very nice, buddy. I'm chasing you ever since he says on the radio that you had a button. You sure do, don't you? I just found out Alan's button is a spun tomback. You got a little bit of that ridge there, but that is what that is. You can see definitely that's a tomback material. So we know 3,000 to 4,000 Patriots were camped right here, right in this property. Actually, across the river here. I'm sure some of them spilled over for that many people. Some of them spilled over here too. The reason why that is historically significant is because those men pursued Patrick Cunningham and the Tories into Indian territory about 25 miles north of here, actually, to a place called the Canebrake.
One of the big factors involved with this was the role of the Cherokee Indians and how the Cherokee Indians came into play with the settlers in this area. Because paramount of importance with the settlers was protection and security from the Cherokees. And both the Loyalists and the Patriots wanted to get the Cherokees on their side. The Cherokees were primarily British allies, and throughout the war they became British allies. But the Patriot forces in Charleston wanted to curry the favor of the Cherokees, so they sent a wagon train of shot and powder through 96 to the Cherokee lower town capital, which was in Keeley. Well, the Loyalists around at that time did not want that shot and powder to reach the Cherokees because they wanted the Cherokees to be on their side. So a fellow named Patrick Cunningham seized the Patriot wagon train at a place called Mine Creek, 18 miles south of 96. That set in motion an entire chain of events. The wagon train had a guard of 25. Patrick Cunningham used 200 men to capture that wagon train. Andrew Williamson was the Patriot leader at that time. He chased after Cunningham's group. He had about 500 men. In the meantime, the Loyalists gathered a force of 1,900 men to surround Andrew Williamson, which was the first siege of 96. Well, the Patriot government, the provincial government in Charleston, was highly alarmed that the Patriots, the Loyalists, could mount a 1,900-man army here in this area. So they sent Colonel Richard Richardson from Camden to this area to try to counteract the 1,900-man force of the Loyalists. So Richard Richardson camped right here at Hollingsworth Mill. The mill was the gathering spot. There was a 4,000-man army right here, the largest army that has ever been this side of Columbia in the state of South Carolina. You know, Sherman had 60,000, but there's never been a group that big under arms in western North Carolina. Cowpens, there were 2,000 on each side, or less than that. Kings Mountain, there were 1,000 on each side. This was the biggest army that was raised. In the meantime, Patrick Cunningham had skedaddled into Indian Territory, which was in Greenville County. It was illegal for any man of European descent to be in Indian territory at that time. So Patrick Cunningham has got his force of 200 men on the Reedy River at a spot called the Canebrake, which was a very defensive stand that the Indians used for centuries, because you can't sneak up on anybody in the canebrake. The rustling leaves make too much noise. Richardson found out that Cunningham was at the canebrake 25 miles from here up the Reedy River. He sent Major Danger Thompson and a group of 1,300 mounted men to the canebrake overnight on December 21st, 1775. It was as cold could be then. The next morning, December 22nd, Thompson's men surrounded Cunningham almost. They almost completely encircled the Tories who were encamped at the canebrake. It was dawn. The alarm was given. Shots rang out. There were a few Tories killed. There was one Patriot wounded. His name was Polk. He was the grandfather of President Polk. But 130 of Cunningham's 200 men were captured at that time. And it was a quick battle. It was a skirmish. They marched those 130 prisoners back here. As soon as the march began, it started snowing. And it snowed like the upstate has hardly ever seen snow before or since. 30 inches of snow fell. This was called the Snow Campaign. It was a 2-week-long campaign. It took 2 weeks to march those prisoners from here down to Charleston. And in the meantime, the other militiamen who were here fanned out, and they arrested other Tories that were in the area. So they marched those prisoners down to Charleston, and it broke the back of the Loyalist resistance here in the backcountry. For 5 years, until 1780, there was relatively peace in the backcountry because of the men who left right here at Hollingsworth Mill, captured the Tory forces at the canebrake, plus other Tories who were in the area. They arrested the Tory leaders, and because the leadership was, in chains, the Loyalists prevailed for the next 5 years until the British captured Charleston in May of 1780, and that completely changed the outlook of the war. But for 5 years, the 4,000 men that were here, it had such an effect that there was peace in this area, relatively speaking.
We've hunted this location for 3 years, but we had our best luck in 2018 when Chet got his permission over on the other side of the river over there. We're up here on the hillside. Chester's down here. And he's hollering to somebody across the river there. Turns out Chet knows him. Sounds like Chet's getting us another permission down there. I can't see him. Hopefully you can hear him though. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah, what's up, bud?
I got us another permission.
Yeah, I sit there and listen to the entire conversation. That's a good one. That's one I've been trying to nail down.
That's when we started calling this side Colonial Site, Side A, and that site Colonial Site, Side B. You can imagine we were thrilled to get over on the other side of that river. Colonial Site, Side B. You know the story about the cows who's standing in a beautiful green pasture, but they're looking over the fence and they're looking at the grass on the other side? You know, the grass is greener on the other side. Well, in this case, it really was, metaphorically speaking.
You're not gonna believe what we ran up on today. Man, this is bittersweet right here moment. Check this out. We found the mill, buddy. This is the grist mill we've been looking for 3 years. Perfect square shape. A lot of the rocks are missing, but it's more on this side. I'm speechless, guys.
They found the mill. They found the mill, and I wasn't there for it. Somewhere around, 3 years of searching, and they found the mill. I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
I believe I found it, guys. Tom shot some video. He actually video chatted with me and showed me on the video chat what they found. And I think I'm standing there now. Now, we've had a bit of rain since then, so it's flooded. But check this out. Right there, that is some stonework there. You see a stone sticking up there. Comes out around, I don't know what this was here. But comes up, cuts that way. Yeah, you see that? I wish I got here when they found it, because there wasn't as much flooding there. But it goes up through there, cuts this way. And the rest of it is marsh and flood. Like a swampy area right there. Now you can see it comes across, and then right there there's some more stone and comes back this way and joins up with that. Those stones are fit together really nice too. This is it, guys. This is our mill. This is our mill. Now on this day, February 26, 2019, we had our historian come out to take a look at it for the first time. This was 10 days after Backcountry Diggers discovered the mill. This is the first time I got to see it too, incidentally. Now this was back in February when we were walking around the mill, when it was actually discovered. Just 3 months later, remember how we said the undergrowth grows up so fast and it conceals everything and makes it hard to swing? We'll check this out. Man, we're just right here at it. We just can't get to it. I'm not going to go the way Tom just went. There are briars that way.
Actually, there's not. It's just
Really? Okay. We don't want to climb over the wall.
we're trying not to damage it.
We're trying to preserve it. Yeah, exactly. But there is this break in the wall right here.
It looks like an entrance sort of dump.
It does. Whether it was or not, I don't know. There it is, guys. That is well hidden. I'm 10 feet away from it and you still can't see it very well. It's no wonder we couldn't find it until February. That's our old mill, guys. Beautiful.
Hollingsworth Mill laid undiscovered, even though we were out here making great finds and trying to discover it for 3 years. So in the winter, back in February, we came out here and we were searching a hill just behind us over here, which is high ground. We decided to wander in this direction down below the hill, and lo and behold, here it was. Here was the mill site that we've been looking for.
In February 16, 2019, Bill Thompson stumbled upon our mill. Now that was February. All the underbrush was dead. It had died off. It was a perfect time to find it. It was about 10 days later we got our historian out there to take a look at it. Things got really exciting. Our historians are now announcing to the world that Hollingsworth Mill has been discovered. This is one of the things I got into metal detecting for. Yeah, you could read a history book. You can read about what happened, different locations. You could read about your local history, like what we like to do around here. It's one thing to read about it, but some of those locations that you may read about, if you look into it, no one exactly knows where they might be. They might be in this location. You know, they might, from other accounts, might be a mile down or across the river. Who knows? To actually find a location, a piece of history that we can read about in a history book, actually find that location and stand in that spot and know that you are one of just a few guys in the whole world who knows this is where it is. Finally, we know where that location is. That's pretty amazing. And I think our historians are starting to kind of look at us in maybe a little different light. They didn't know what to think of us at first. Here we are, these newcomers. We got metal detectors. They have no idea how serious we are. We gave this 3 years of very tedious, difficult hunt circumstances. And we came out on top. We found Hollingsworth Mill. There were times I didn't think it was going to happen. There were times I think all of us thought we're never going to find this mill. But we now know where it is. And I think our historians see our dedication to their cause, which we have made our cause as well. This is what I wanted. I think this is what all of us wanted. One thing that has really been eating at me in the last 3 years is the fact that when we do a hunt here at this location, I can't tell anybody on video what it is we're looking for. I am so happy to be able to finally tell you folks why we have been out here all this time. And I finally just now was able to tell you guys why we're even here. I'm really happy about that. And I thank you guys for sticking with us. I think it really paid off. And I hope this last group of videos, Fort Lindley videos, and these Hollingsworth Mill videos have been worth the wait. Thank you.
I'd also like to thank Miss Elaine Martin. If it wasn't for Elaine, none of this would have been possible. She gave me paperwork on this project that we took on. She asked me specifically to come out here and find George Hollingsworth Mill. She said, if anybody could find it, you can. And she was right, but it was such a project of undertaking that I had to recruit help. I came out here a few times on my own. Well, not exactly on my own, but with other people. And they lost interest real quick. It takes a special type of person to come out here and be able to look for this type of structure and this type of environment. It takes people with real dedication to get out here, and the guys that came out here and helped me find this, I really appreciate them. They've become good friends, and I think it's going to be lifelong from this point out. But yeah, without Elaine Martin, none of this would have been possible. Big thanks to her. She's no longer with us, and I wish she was, to see the discovery of this. But I can tell you that other historians in the area are ecstatic about it.
Very good. Very good, man.